Hey, what's going on there, everybody? cloudedtruth here. Welcome back to some more Battlefield 4, and today I've got some rather old gameplay for you all of a round of domination here on Operation Locker using the Ultimax 100 or U100M5K. And like I said, some rather old gameplay. You see me use the Cobra sight, the stubby grip, heavy barrel, and green laser. I've got the QSZ as my sidearm. Not a bad little sidearm, just currently I have traded it out for the Shorty 12 gauge primarily, but I'm now moving on to other sidearms as I found out the Shorty 12 gauge actually counts for shotgun kills, not sidearm in terms of the points you get. So I'm really far behind for the pistol unlocks compared to most people, because once I got the Shorty, I use that a lot because it's a really good sidearm for especially like a weapon like the U100, long range LMGs, or even other assault rifles and carbines. The Shorty is a great setup for that, including snipers, because it really allows you to have a good close quarters gun, which the Shorty definitely is. But it's unfortunate that it counts for sidearm kills, or excuse me, shotgun kills, rather than sidearms. So I am, like I said, I'm lacking behind. I just recently unlocked the 93R, so I'm definitely way behind most people, but I'm slowly making my way back up as I'm using other handguns now. But today's commentary does not involve the handgun sidearms or anything like that. It actually has to involve Battlefield 4, no duh, but on a scale, or on a level I should say, of did DICE overdo themselves with this game? Now bear with me when I say overdo. Battlefield 3 was a fun game for many people, but a absolutely abysmal game for others. Some people really loved it, some people absolutely hated it. In times, I was kind of in both boats, but ultimately I have to say Battlefield 3 was a really fun experience. I enjoyed it. There are parts about the game, just like any other game, that I didn't like, but the fact that it kept me coming back to play it for 1,000 hours shows you something, and I really enjoyed the game. For some people, though, they absolutely couldn't stand the game and couldn't play it more than, you know, just a few hours, and they were done. They just didn't enjoy the game anymore to continue on playing it, and that's fine. You enjoy, you like what you like, and you don't like what you don't like. It's that simple. But with Battlefield 4, a lot of us were hopeful that it was going to be a better experience than what it was in Battlefield 3. Now, when I say better experience, I don't necessarily mean in terms of just kind of how the... it's kind of hard to describe this. I guess you could say overall, we were looking to have some things kind of more tuned and more adjusted for Battlefield 4, and not necessarily looking for something that was gonna take us completely in a different direction. Battlefield 3, let's be honest here, was quite the revolutionary game in terms of what it immersed the player in, what it had that feeling of when you played it. Whenever I played Battlefield 3, whether it be on the old console, on my PlayStation 3, or when I got it on PC, it still was just like a unique experience every time you played it. And it really, I don't know, it captured me, and I just wanted to continue on playing it. And that's one of the things I loved about the game, is just the fact that every time I played it, it was like a new experience. Something else was going to happen. And it really kept drawing me back, and it was a whole lot of fun to play. Whether it be just the game itself, the people I played with, it didn't matter. It just overall was the game that I really, really enjoyed the most, and it just kept me coming back to playing it. Now, one of the problems, of course, with the game, well, a few of them. One of them was the controversial suppression mechanic. Obviously here in Battlefield 4, DICE has changed that. And the other thing to go along with that was the class balance between the gadgets and weapons, and then the coding and the connections between the different players, more commonly referred to as the, in quotes, netcode by a lot of the different gamers or players of Battlefield today. But it's complicated matter when it comes to that topic. It's just the netcode is the easiest word to refer to. I personally just call it the connection between players. It's just because that's kind of what it ultimately is between the server and the players. But anyway, let's continue on. Those topics were really controversial moving into Battlefield 4, and I don't know about you, but for me personally, I was someone that was kind of looking for just more along the lines of a fine-tuned game. I'm not kidding. At one point, I've told different people this, and I could probably be quoted, the fact that, honestly, if the class balance was a little bit better, and they removed the suppression mechanic, and the connections between players and the servers were tightened up to where it was a much smoother experience, I would honestly be happy with a just flat out basically recopy of Battlefield 3 with those changes, and push it back out and basically republish the game again. I'm not kidding. The game had that much enjoyment. I got that much enjoyment out of it. And just those small changes were enough to make it a new game for me. But Battlefield 4, DICE decided to do something completely different. They changed up a lot of things. Some good, some bad. One of the things I think they did get right was the class balance. They did a better job of making the assault or medic class not just 3 miles ahead of everyone else. They brought the gap down just a little bit. The suppression mechanic has been changed. Is it better? I would say yes, but it's still not perfect. There's still some things about it that are kind of a little bit wonky, and suppression overall is just a hard game mechanic to balance correctly. One of the problems, though, that with Battlefield 4, that they definitely took a step backwards was the coding. The connections between players and the servers is definitely gone backwards. But one of the reasons I feel like for that, and why the connections are so bad between the players and the server and each other, is the amount of destruction within the game. Now bear with me on this. Some of you all may know exactly what I'm talking about, some of you all may have no idea. Essentially what happens whenever you're playing in a multiplayer game or an FPS such as this one is that there is basically all these different players with their internet connections connecting to one player. Like let's say, I think let's go with 24-man domination. There are 25 different connections basically running through. You have the 24 players and then the one server, the other guy who's not in the game, but he's still connected, and he's the one that organizes and sends all the information around to everyone. He basically relays all information that you send to him, and then he sends it out to everyone else. And the biggest problem with having so much destruction within a game on the Frostbite 3 engine, well, Frostbite 3 they say it is, but on that engine, which graphically is very, very demanding and really overall pushes the engine really hard. Like the graphics in this game are very, they're very good, but they're really demanding in terms of what the performance that your PC has to run it in terms of being able to render and really show everything. But because of that really demanding performance and the fact that there's all this destruction in the game, the server has to relay every single bit of information to every person. And with increased destruction, it has to do even more of that now. Okay, this fragment is now not there. It has to relay that from your perspective back to the server, back to somebody else. It has to do everything. And if you have so much destruction, that's a lot of information it has to relay to every single person. And so, is the destruction something in this game where DICE has really outdone themselves? Is it something that you feel like adds to the game, or something that perhaps would take away? Now, that's not the sole reason for the connection problems between players. However, I do feel like it is really a big part of it. Because the more information you have to relay between players, the slower it's going to happen, and therefore the more kind of rubber banding, I guess you could say, or shot around corners, one hit kills, that type of thing, because it has to relay so much information, so many different changes that are happening. Battlefield 3 didn't have near the destruction that Battlefield 4 had, or even Bad Company 2. But Bad Company 2, the engine was not nearly running as hard. It didn't have this huge graphics demand that Battlefield 3 or Battlefield 4 had. And with Battlefield 3, the destruction wasn't quite there. The coding was a little bit tighter. Now, it wasn't perfect, but it was definitely a slightly bit better. So, anyways, that's kind of my overall thoughts, just leaving this open for you all. Do you all feel like DICE has outdone themselves with Battlefield 4, trying to make this huge immersive experience for everyone? Lots of destruction, lots of chaos, but losing their really a base core mechanic to a game, and that is having good connections between the players and the server. Leave your thoughts about this below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Take care. See you all next time.